Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Northside Bound live draft coverage. We're excited to be with you guys today for a big day as far as Cubs prospects are concerned. We are the Northside Bound team. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Greg Huss. I'll remove this so you can see our names here. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Greg Huss, and my acting co-host here today is Jimmy. And then we're joined by a couple draft experts. We're going to be joined here today by Todd Johnson, and Greg Zumak will join us momentarily. He will be joining in the next few minutes. He's just making a grand heroic entrance into this show. So, guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
This is a big day. I mean, like I said, this is the Cubs having the 7th pick. This is a huge moment for the Cubs franchise in a team that does not have a great MLB team right now, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be good to kind of just build up the system. And, today we could walk away with another top 100 prospect, in all of baseball potentially. It's always really exciting to see that kind of build your system that way. And, I mean, we can just add to how young our system is potentially, especially if we go after one of the younger guys.
Yeah, I think some of these guys are even slated to be in MLB Pipeline's top 50, depending on who falls to you at 7. Because, I mean, the Cubs are going to get a good player. I mean, they're going to get a very good player at 7, 47, 86, and 113. So if they play their cards right, they could really reshape their system picking the 7th pick in each round. So
for sure. So, I mean, thank everybody online for joining us here tonight. We're excited. I know that we're streaming live on YouTube. You can access this coverage through our website over at northsidebound.com. And like I was saying, Jimmy and I are kind of playing co-hosts. We're less of the draft experts for the show like we have been in past years. Now we're just hosting. We're going to let Todd and Zumak do a lot of the speaking here tonight on our way up to the 7th overall pick and then after the 7th overall pick. So to give you guys a little bit of a timeline as to how this is going to work, we're kind of expecting the draft is kicking off right now. All of us individually are following the draft tracker online, so we're aware of what's going on. We don't have the live show on ESPN or MLB Network or whatever live on our screens. We're following the draft tracker. We will update you guys as the picks come in, and really what we'll do at that point is we'll just kind of prep to see who is going to be available when the Cubs pick at number 7, and then once the pick comes in at number 7, we will talk plenty about that guy that the Cubs got, and then we'll kind of end the show. We're expecting that pick to come in around 6:45 or so, give or take a little bit of time. And then after that, we'll kind of turn our focus to the second round. We will not be covering the second round pick here tonight live on the air, but you can go back and find us on Twitter. All of our handles are there on the screen, and we'll probably be tweeting plenty about these picks that are coming in the second round. So again, thank you guys for joining. Todd, I want to kick it to you first since you're here. This draft has been super unique in terms of the bat heavy, like the bat focus in the top end of the first round, right? There's not a whole lot of pitchers that are scheduled to be made selected here in the first, 10 picks or so?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there seemed to be a problem back in March where anybody that was ranked got injured, from Tidewell there in Tennessee to Connor Prelip in Alabama. Even Dylan Lesko, once he moved up into the top 15 or so, got injured. And then he had Tommy John surgery, but he could still go top 15. But it's the top 3 players are definitely Jones, Collier, and Johnson. Where they fall in that top 7, nobody knows right now. So, and we won't know until after Miami's done picking at 6. So,
yeah, I'll be flashing some graphics up here on the screen throughout. This Northside Bounds Best Available is based off of Greg Zumak's rankings that he has put together. So I'll be updating this throughout the evening as leading up to the Cubs pick at number 7. Looks like we got potentially maybe have Zumak ready to join us, and he is. So let's go ahead and add him to the mix. Zumak, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going fantastic. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you. We're good.
All right. Let's draft. Let's get drafting, man. Come on. The shakes are gone. We're back at it. I'm so excited. Let's do this.
You want to talk a little bit about this whole process? We were kind of setting everybody up for this. Zubak, what do you have to say to open up this show?
I mean, I think when we were looking at stuff, there's been a lot. The topic, especially in the last few weeks, has been what is Baltimore going to do? We don't know. It sounds like the odds makers are if you're into that kind of thing, betting on the MLB draft, that's a bridge too far for me. But it sounds like they're talking about Tamar being a little bit more likely. I still find Drew Jones to be somewhere in the mix there. But until Baltimore makes their selection, we won't know. After that, some things do settle out a little bit better. And so I think we'll be able to kind of jump in on stuff. But, the names you have in front of you there, and unfortunately cut out the next person on that, which is Zach Neto, is that these are a really good collection of players. There are probably people watching this going like, where the hell is Elijah Green? I respect it. There are people that have him as the best overall player in the class, and I respect that. I think that's great. I do worry about the whiffs, but only in the sense of I need more data. I only know so much about the swing and miss. I don't know necessarily. I've asked different places, but a lot of it's proprietary. And so there's a big difference between a swing and a miss and in the zone. And there's a big difference between, well, yeah, he's like extending out of the zone to try to hit a ball and he's not able to catch up to that slider. That is correctable. And he does make good swing decisions. So I ultimately think he's going to go or be paid certainly much higher than where I have him, which is just a few slots below that. And some team is going to probably, I want them to. I want Elijah Green to just kill it because baseball needs more Elijah Green. And so I'd happily be like slightly wrong on him. Still a top 10 guy for me. But yeah, I think this is just a good collection of talent. The Cubs are picking for the first time in top 10 since 2015. I think they're going to land a really good class of players.
Well, talk us through some of the scenarios then, kind of before the first pick is in. Like, who are some of the guys that you think the Cubs have at the top of their board that they're hoping, like, realistically is going to drop to them here at 7?
Yeah, so, I mean, you can take names like Drew Jones off the list because if he's not going 1 or 2, he's landing some absolutely absurd deal from, like, the Mets or he's going to school. So you can take names off of that. Kind of like what Jimmy was saying. As far as who I've gotten the sense that they are interested in, Tamar Johnson and Cam Collier are names that definitely have had a lot of conversations. I've been on the Zach Neto train for a few weeks now. I think that actually does fit. He fits a lot in Billy Swope's area and Billy's boys and Campbell. And I think that he represents certainly a realistic option if he doesn't go at 4. And Tamar isn't there or anything. And then we've been hearing more pitchers recently. And so, happy to talk about Zach Neto. That's one of the guys that he was 8th on my board there. The batted ball data looks incredible to go along with the production. If he's there at 7 and, an obvious name who is signable isn't there, I think that is a realistic option as a pick. The question is whether he gets an underslot deal. I'm not sure. I really don't want to speculate too much on that. I think I came into this and anticipating he would, but he's being talked about up at 4. And I have heard that with Pittsburgh. So, I don't know. I don't know what the option is there. But Zach Neto is awesome. And I came into him a little bit later. I didn't include him in either of my first 2 mocks because I needed to see the data. I saw the data and I said, wow, like he makes more contact and hits the ball harder than Jacob Berry out of LSU, who I think is a really good player.
Yeah.
I think Berry's production's a little bit better, but like that says a lot. This guy plays shortstop, and I think he can do it really well.
Yeah, he's kind of grown on me too a lot. You read some of the profiles. I think Fangraphs had the best one out of anybody in describing just exactly what Neto can do. It talked about how he tampers. He's got this big leg kick, which some people attributed, well, he's like Javi because he's got a big leg kick. But he tampers that down with 2 strikes. He's got great launch angle. His batted ball data is amazing because he hits the ball hard. For example, this year as a junior, he had 407 with a 769 slugging percentage, or a 769, slugging percentage, and a 514 on base percentage. So people also talk about his makeup, which is a big thing. If you listen to the Dan Cantrovet's article that I put out yesterday, where he talked about how important makeup was to someone at the top of the draft, because they are going to be the face of your franchise, at least the face of the minors for at least the next year, until, we get Dylan Cruz or Max Clark or Jacob Gonzalez next year. Well, I included them, Greg. So
Yes, thank you. Those are my top 3 for next year. Not necessarily in that order, but maybe. I don't know. They're killer. But we can worry about 2023 later. We got 3 full days of draft going on, certainly.
But
You see Neto is kind of like a quick riser then in the minors. Is he more of like the MLB ready kind of shortstop of the draft?
I don't know. He could be. I think it really depends upon how he adjusts to breaking balls at that level. I think he'll be fine with a fastball. But I think,
and he actually hit. I was just checking on that. He handled velocity is pretty well, and then his breaking pitches. I'm trying to do it on my phone versus my computer. Yeah, slightly better than average whiffs against breakers. I think what Todd is saying is totally right, though. So, I mean, I think he's fairly quick. He played up against a lot of really good competition. So when he played against Power 5 schools, he dominated, which is what you want to see, right? Like, you don't want him just beating up on, I won't even name it a school because I don't want to disparage their program, but a small school, then he just killing it, and then he faces Tennessee, and it's like, he goes for 1 for 7 with a walk. That's not what he did. He killed it. I've heard that, hey, if up, when he's facing upper 90s velocity and AA, maybe they ask him, with even 1 strike to tamper down on the leg kick. We've seen players do that in the Cubs organization and a few others, to just look, 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, go for it. Just launch it to the moon, man. But nice, just get there. It was the leg kick that brushed him off the plate. But hey, launch it for the moon. Yeah, see, there's the leg kick there. Then that's fine, and then tamper it down without it, because he has strength and he hits the ball really, really hard. That's I believe that. That 1-1 decision is going to be a big one. So
I do want to, with this comment here from Nyron, I do want to kind of bring it back in that direction a little bit. If you guys have comments, please comment on the YouTube channel. We'd love to hear what you have to say. What do you guys think as far as, as we're waiting here, should be coming in any minute here, I would assume pick number 1-1. Where do you think the route that the Orioles go here? Because it's a tough decision at first overall.
It is. I've heard conflicting things. I still have wondered whether it just made sense to do Drew, but we've seen that the Orioles have done a really, almost every single year, they've taken a bit of a cut. And in many years, they've looked really smart doing it. They're not having any regrets on Colton Cowser last year, while also loading up on that class. So, I would guess, man, I don't know. I'll guess tomorrow right now, but I could go either way.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's crazy to me that the Cubs picking at 7. I'm holding out hope that the Cubs can get Tomar at 7. I know Brooks Lee has been rumored to the Cubs at 7 too. It's like a guy that could fall down to 7, also getting selected first overall, is just a wild, wild thing to me.
Tamar just ran away on the phone on the broadcast with his phone. So I don't know what's going to happen here. But
I will get the graphic ready if that's
running all the way to 7. No, I don't.
I would hope.
That does probably tell you a lot there, though.
Yeah, but he was in some green room or something, Here comes Manfred to the podium, so I don't have the sound on here.
It is not Tamar Johnson here. It is actually Jackson Holiday going first overall
Holy
to the
crap.
Baltimore Orioles.
That actually makes a ton of sense. So in 2012, when Mike Elias was running the Astros, he took the best shortstop, who was originally high school shortstop, who was originally projected 6. So if you want to just absolutely have a knife to the dagger, because that's where the Cubs were picking, and Carlos Correa took him for an underslot deal. He probably won't get as much of an underslot here, but there's been some talk that Jackson Holiday wanted to be 1-1. And who doesn't, right? I want to be 1-1. I'm still waiting for my turn on that. But he had enough talent to justify that and a really strong commitment to Oklahoma State where he could do it. And so this actually makes a tremendous amount of sense. I'm a little annoyed that I didn't go that route, but I just wasn't hearing that at this point. What we may have seen in the last week or so, and especially a lot of today, is a final push by Baltimore, who put a lot of information out there that said, hey, no, we'll totally go Tamar. We'll go Brooks Lee. I heard one person say maybe they'll call Zach Neto, because who doesn't want Zach Neto these days? That, it just made a lot of sense for them to put that out there, and maybe Jackson Holiday and them had a conversation and came to an agreement. So this is fun. I like this pick. I love Jackson Holiday. So that's Baltimore's building something really good. I know it up until this year hasn't looked as good at the major league level, but they're building something really good. Good for them. Good for Jackson.
I remember the first time I saw Jackson Holiday, and then they showed a close-up of his face. I'm like, he looks like he's in 7th grade. As a junior high teacher, he does look like he's in 7th grade. Like, got that still got his baby fat on there, but the kid can rake. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And got a nice pedigree, grown up around the game. And I was reading something today that said it took him a while to truly understand just exactly what his father did and how good his father was. And that his father always made time for him regardless of baseball. So that was a nice story. So good for Matt Holliday for being a good dad. So not going to say that about Jim Edmonds, but
And this pick has really good implications for the Cubs too, then, right? Because I mean, all the names that we mentioned before, obviously they're still here on the board.
Mhm.
And you were just talking, Zumac, about how, Baltimore's pick dictates a lot of, kind of the directions that the Cubs can go. So kind of all those directions really are still in play now with this pick, right?
Yeah. And so it is interesting. So I would definitely anticipate Drew Jones at number 2. Watch, maybe I'll be wrong on all of them. And that's just more fun than anything. But I would anticipate Drew Jones being there at number 2. That's been kind of the discussion that they would likely take one of those two. I have heard some Elijah Green chatter recently, but I don't know if they would pass up Drew for that. Like, I get it. Maybe they were like, hey, Elijah Green, Jackson Holiday kind of right there. But I would imagine they would probably pop Drew Jones here. Otherwise, we're talking about a really interesting situation. Or maybe the Mets have really floated like $10+ million. That is not impossible, but boy, that would be pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, I think it has good implications, right? Like if you're a Tamar Johnson fan, and I'm definitely a Tamar Johnson fan, him not going 1 definitely helps. Brooks Lee is also a really awesome college player and totally could. I mean, he'd be really solid at 7-2. So yeah, I think it's good.
So when's kind of this next important pick? You're probably looking at the Pirates at 4, you think? Yeah.
I think 4 is the big one. So what we could kind of see here is to kind of look at a few different things here. One, like we talked about Jackson Holiday going 1. We're talking about likely Drew going 2. 3 isn't as much of like a focal point or a pivot point. Fulcrum, I don't know, whatever. Just trying to think of high school physics now. But you know what I'm talking about, pivot point there. 3, I think there's a few different places that they could go, but not a ton of them have like real big implications, I don't think, for the Cubs. 4 is where it gets really interesting, because I was hearing all day that Pittsburgh was like, we've got these options, or maybe we do Zach Neto for an underslot, and another name out there. Cam Collier also is being talked about a lot at 4. And there was definitely some chatter that it sounds like if Cam doesn't go 4, hey, there's maybe a good shot, and maybe they think internally that there's a good shot he would go at 7. So I'll just say that. So it is interesting. It's really interesting.
And I mean, the Pirates too are a team in the past that have been really willing to go under slot, right? So I mean, that's definitely an option that they don't go after Collier, and then he can fall down to 7 to the Cubs.
Yeah, they did it last year with Henry Davis, who just made all the sense in the world. Now, Ben Cherington typically goes with college performers, so that may impact here, and that's probably some of the Zach Neto conversation too.
I've got the Northside Bound best available that you guys are talking about over here. Was pulling from some notes. I originally had something I think was incorrect. Zumac, is this correct up here?
Now I'm
Based
trying
off
to remember
your
where I have
list?
Elijah Green.
Okay.
He's like right in there. He's in the same tier as the other names.
I might be pulling from the wrong place though. So if that's the case, then I will take this graphic down.
Well, it's fine. Oh yeah, it's definitely off. I have Jace Young a little bit lower than that, but that's okay. Because these are all really solid players that are like right in this range. I think we're hearing now that Jace may be falling a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's a really good college performer, like a really killer college performer. And it's the question about the positions. I think that's like the biggest thing is like, where is he going to play? If you're bullish on Jace Young, and some even towards the top are, I don't think he's an outlandish pick even at 4 too, really, for a big underslot there. Where like if you're bullish on Jace Young, you've seen him play, make a solid headsy, intelligent play at second base, and you kind of think, hey, like that's probably where you could put him. Like you can see up there, contact percentage, which is just slightly better than average. These are rough numbers. I want to kind of illustrate that doesn't actually capture regional data and beyond, but it gives you a picture of like the type of player that they are. And I think that that's really important there. So you can see like slightly above average contact percentage, hits the crap out of the ball and has great production, handles lefties, handles righties, doesn't have outlandish issues against velocity, doesn't have outlandish issues against breaking balls. Like he kind of does really good things. So he's really good.
The pick with Jackson Holliday at number 1 overall, and we could see this with, like you mentioned, with Drew Jones going number 2 overall. Those are a couple of guys that haven't really ever been mocked to the Cubs at number 7. So through 2 picks, potentially, if we see Drew Jones going here, we could see everybody still hopefully in play at number 7 overall.
Is there any just like kind of pick out there that you think the Cubs could take over at 7? Like, let's say the top 3 names right now just get taken at 2, 3, and 4 in your eyes, and the Cubs need to get a little bit more flexible, right? Let's say Johnson, Neto, and whoever kind of go the next 3. Like, is there some kind of name that you're kind of got your eyes on a little bit that possibly the Cubs could go like way under slot for? Maybe not even under slot, but just kind of have like that money saving kind of pick.
I think that the Gilbert kid from Tennessee would be a good pick right there. If your guy is not on the board, I think Connor Prelip from Alabama would be another name. But I don't know how they don't have one of the top tier still left, and if he's there, they're going to take him. But Gilbert, for me, I didn't until Greg brought him up about a week ago. I thought of him as more like a comp round or early second round kind of pick. But he just hits the ball hard. Great makeup, great leadership. Everybody loves him. Great teammate. And Prelip is just coming back after being injured at the beginning, most of last year. So he's ascending. How high he gets, I doubt if he gets into the top 10, but he's definitely on the Cubs' radar.
Well, it looks like the second pick is in, and they did go with Drew Jones.
Yeah, that just made the most sense. I mean, I think Arizona was kind of licking their chops, saying we're going to end up with a really toolsy player, and could kind of throw it out there to Drew, Jackson, and Elijah. Probably those are kind of the 3 bigger names. I thought actually Jamar Johnson was going to get a little bit more of a run. I had heard some chatter earlier this week, like right before I debuted the mock, and so I think I ended up changing it to that, unfortunately. But I mean, it does it. All of those guys, like you're talking about, just really good high school talent, and Arizona's just done a slamming job with that. And so you add Drew Jones to Jordan Lawler, who's looked really good, Alec Thomas in the major leagues, and a few other players in the major leagues. Corbin Carroll is great. I mean, he's an absolute stud. So yeah, I mean, Arizona's slowly building. It's definitely a slow burn there, but like their guys they're coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you see the Rangers taking then here with the third pick?
Well, I
So
think
I've heard. Yeah, go for it, Todd.
well, I've heard Young down there in Texas. Was it Texas Tech? And they could have the brothers play together, but I don't think
It'd be a fun
that's
story.
it'd be a fun story, but I don't think it's viable. I mean, I think Tamar is the pick here. I think he's just too good to not take this high.
What do you guys think what needs to happen in order for Tamar to fall all the way down to the Cubs at number 7?
Not a ton. I don't think it's crazy, to be honest. 3 is a pretty good. 3 and 4 are good spots. Actually, I take that back. I was trying to kind of just not mention this too much specifics, but I've definitely heard the Marlins really like Tamar. So that will be really difficult to get him past there. I think what would need to happen is that somebody's sitting there at 6 that they just can't pass up, like the Marlins can't. And I don't know who that is, because the Marlins are really, really, really interesting. Like, they parted ways with their scouting director very recently, by the way, which is always a fun strategy to do. So I don't know what happened there. I don't actually want to. I do kind of want to know, but I don't really want to know the specifics there, because it was like a week or two before the draft that their scouting director has left the building. And so that's certainly a big question as to did their draft philosophy change? Or is that because maybe their scouting director just wasn't jiving with what the organization has wanted to do? And I think that, they're just stepping in there. So I don't want to speculate too much, but since that time, I've definitely heard that the Marlins really love Tamar. I did hear some chatter that it was a while ago, but there was enough of a burn on this that, hey, the Marlins aren't as impossible a choice to pick like a prep arm to really surprise. I got a lot of heat for putting that in my mock. Like, people were like, that's crazy. No one's saying that. I was like, I don't know. I've heard it a few times. It is a big reach. Brandon Barrera's kind of in their backyard, and that would be a very fun pick. We've seen some of these other college arms like Prelip or Cade Horton getting a lot of conversations up top. And so, I mean, all it takes is for the right people to fall in love with the right player at the right time. And some of them have had some really good runs here.
All right, Zumak, I want to interrupt the draft specific talk here. And I do want to, I think now, before we get closer and closer to the Cubs pick, now's a good time to bring up the giveaway that we have going on here. You want to go into some detail about that?
I'll happily go into detail about what it is. We're very excited to be debuting this, and this is seriously just all the credit.
Hold on. Kumar Rocker just got taken by the Rangers at 3. So
Kumar Rocker did. So
yeah,
those details.
That's your giveaway, folks.
Giveaway gets backseat right now. Kumar Rocker going 3rd overall to the Rangers. He was on MLB Pipeline. He was the 38th ranked guy on the board. I don't think he was quite as low for you, Zumak, but this is shocking. This is a very shocking pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. So I guess, okay, so devil's advocate, because I didn't have this, but I had read this somewhere. But so last year Texas was picking 2nd, and they were definitely having conversations between Jack Leiter, who they ended up taking, Marcelo Meyer, and Kumar Rocker was one of the other names too. And there were a few others, Jordan Lawler, and really everybody in that range. Khalil Watson was certainly one, which was a whole other separate thing now. But Texas got a second shot. And how often do you get a second shot at like a top 10 guy that you were looking at or considering at number 2?
That's wild.
That's awesome.
I gotta say, I've got all these graphics made for these different players. I cannot say that I have Kumar Rocker graphic made. I'm sorry, everybody out there. I know you're disappointed, but oh my God,
this draft kicks ass. I love this.
We knew it was gonna be wild,
awesome.
right? Like we knew this was gonna be an insane draft.
This is great.
I wasn't expecting this, but like we knew this was gonna be crazy. And Todd, what do you think about Kumar Rocker going 3 here?
Todd's muted. He's speechless. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and now the Pirates are on the board, and who knows what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be going down and getting somebody to save some money because I think they have – don't they have a comp pick and – yeah, they have 2 picks coming up pretty close together in the 30s and 40s. So they could be saving some money for those picks as well. Holy crap.
Yeah. But this is like dream scenario for the Cubs, basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, well, and nightmare at the same time. I mean, imagine if you have to choose between Termar and Cam Collier and Brooks Lee at 7, depending on what the Pirates do here. And who knows what the Marlins will do either. So, Dan Kantrovitz has his work cut out for him now.
Yeah. I mean, so Prospects Live, they do fantastic work, right? Like they're just awesome. Joe Doyle is really one of the better individuals within the industry. And the fact that what they've built is incredible. So he was even saying like all week, he's just like chaos. This draft is going to be chaos. Yeah, I like that. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild draft. It is going to be a wild draft, Rich. It's already there. Picks 1 and 2 feel solid. Like they were totally within the realm of possibility. 3 adds a big wrinkle, and 3 wasn't really considered the one that was going to be like, whoa, like this is going to be out there, right? 4, 6, and then who knows what was going to happen with the Cubs. So yeah, I think this is great. And then it really opens up the question of, well, now for teams like 4, so the Pirates, 5 to the Nationals, and 6 to the Marlins, like who's sitting there that they were not anticipating, right? Like we've heard for a while the Nationals love Elijah, at least he's one, and Parada. And so now what happens if you have both sitting there? That's really interesting. I'm fascinated by this.
But you had a giveaway to talk about.
I did. We have to get it in before the Pirates take like Peyton Graham or something at 4. Oh man, watch that happen.
They could go Hansen from Oklahoma.
Yeah, there we go. Horton. Cade Horton. Yeah.
Cade Horton, yes. Cade Horton.
And yeah, okay. So the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, ultimate rock stars, birds are hot. They're always hot. They were unbelievably generous again for the 2nd straight year and have generously donated this is an adult XL, so it's a little bit out of my range, but a Myrtle Beach Pelicans Hawaiian shirt. And so we've been saying all week, the birds are hot, but you will be too if you're rocking this. And it is, I mean, it's pretty slam. I've had more people get in my DMs, ask me where I can actually just buy it or where they can buy it. And I was like, I don't think they have it. I looked online. I was trying to get one myself, but they've donated this. And so we're going to be giving one of these away to the fine folks this afternoon. So
how can these people enter in to win this shirt?
That's a great question, Jimmy. I don't have the answer for that. So did you guys decide anything?
So last year we asked a question, and we'll probably go that route again at some point throughout this stream. So stay with us. We got several people already here with us on the stream. Stay with us throughout the next however long here. Probably when it gets closer to the Cubs draft pick or right after the Cubs draft pick, we'll ask you guys a question. Whoever sends in the comments, the correct answer first, the first person to do so will win the shirt.
Now, I did not hear the disclaimer that employees of Northside Bound are exempt from winning.
That we didn't give that disclaimer, but I think now's a good time to do that.
Oh,
dang. That's right.
It is a sweet shirt, though. I mean, look at
it.
That.
It's a great shirt.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm taking it off the screen. So get your last peek in. But again, we'll ask a question later on in this draft show. Be sure to answer it in the comments. First person to do so correctly will take home the shirt.
It's going to be awesome.
Just going back to the draft, who do you think the Pirates are going to take here at 4 then, if you were betting people right now?
Mhm.
And
Not everybody at once.
I mean, I think Tamar makes sense here. I mean, I know that there was a lot of like Zach Neto chatter, and I get it. Like, if that's your strategy there, that you're like, hey, our top guys aren't on the board. No, we've got this field of maybe 3, 4, 5 different guys that are all in the same tier. So like a internal rating, and let's say they're all like within the same negligible difference there. They might like somebody take a little bit better. But like to me, if I'm just guessing, I would guess Tamar. So watch, I'll be wrong.
He just went.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we
Good
got one
guess.
of those. Yeah. There you go.
So yeah,
All right. So Tamar,
Nice.
who I loved, but
cross them off my list. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a pipe dream, right? That was the hope was
Totally.
for Tamar to fall. Now we're at the point where me as a fan, I'm now banking and hoping and just shooting for Cam Collier to now drop the Cubs down at 7.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Cubs are going to get one of either Cam Collier, Elijah Green, or Brooks Lee on my list. What do you got, Greg?
I don't know how they feel about Elijah, actually. It was a guy that I needed to spend more time like really asking a lot of pointed questions, and I just didn't. I don't know how I feel about Elijah, because I mean, if you're talking about superstar talent, he's got superstar talent. We've talked about this a few different times. There is nobody who does what Elijah Green does at the major league level.
Yeah.
And so I could see that. I mean, I guess I could see them just saying, like, you know what, we'll take a chance. We've been actually pretty good as an organization for finding certain players with certain traits, but they don't make enough contact, and getting them to make more contact. Nelson Velasquez is a prime example of somebody who's not as toolsy, but I mean, pretty toolsy, but take that power speed combination, address a few different areas, and then his contact rate jumped. And now he's in the majors, throwing just absolute like dimes to get guys at home plates and hitting bombs and, just really killing it right now. But I don't truly know how they feel about Elijah Green. And so I guess Collier, Neto, Brooks Lee makes sense here. All those guys, I think would be fun. I mean, we've heard like the Gilbert chatter recently, but I don't know if like the names are on the board, if I would pass them up for Gilbert. Certainly if it went like really chalky at the first 6 and you're kind of left there, then maybe. But yeah, I think there's a lot of really good names that could be on the board here.
I mean, Washington, especially right now, they have their like dream scenario, right? Like this is probably the draft that they hope for. I mean, they got probably everyone on their board that they thought realistically that was going to be there is probably there right now for them, right?
I still can't believe that Kumar Rocker just went. I can't believe that. That's wild. But yeah, you got to be right with that, Jimmy. I'm not the draft analyst expert here, but I'd imagine so.
Isn't Goebel going to be his pitching coach then?
Yeah, actually, friend of the show, friend of the podcast here. Yeah,
and former high school coach for both Greg and I.
So I'll be drafted next in the second round by the Rangers. Is more of the story here.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, we should be getting this next pick in from Washington coming up here pretty soon. I mean, still got some options here for the Cubs, and I'm loving to see that. Brooks Lee still on the board. Cam Collier still on the board. Kevin Parada still on the board. Deeper down, we still got Drew Gilbert that's been mentioned. I want to bring up a name that I think Todd brought up earlier. Cade Horton has been a guy that's been flying up draft boards. There was some chatter, I think, from Prospects Live, mentioned that Cade Horton might be there for the Cubs at 7. Might be a choice from them for the Cubs at 7. And I mean, he's a guy that really, really turned it on in his college season, pitching for Oklahoma as the year wore on.
Yeah, he got unleashed later in the year. And the stuff, I mean, and so people will look at the stat line, and not the fine fans that are here with us today, but certain segments of Cubs Twitter would look at the stat line on that and just, I don't know, flip over a table or something, hopefully metaphorically. But okay, all right, might be Parada to the Nats. Yeah, they've definitely liked Parada. I'm surprised to see him do it still with Elijah on the board, but that's very interesting. So Horton got unleashed later in the year. He made changes to his slider, and what the end product was a really elite pitcher in the College World Series, and it pays to really nail it in the College World Series, and he did. He looked like a frontline guy. Post Tommy John surgery, so was coming back this year. Big time, like metrics. His stuff stands out. It's a really impressive profile. I don't know internally how the Cubs feel about him, but I think it would answer a lot of questions if they took him at 7. He was rumored
that slider's been really good, right?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I know the Cubs have really, really shifted to that sweeping slider. Last year into this year, they've kind of transitioned into using those sweeping sliders and been very, very successful doing so.
Yeah, it's an absolutely excellent pitch. I mean, he will throw like 2+ pitches. I've heard some people say 2 double plus. That's always really cautious when I throw around those kind of terms. So it's a very impressive profile. They may not want to go that route if they see a few of these other names on the board. Like, that might be hard to turn down. But I have heard he's at a decent price tag. But at 7, that should work out very easily. So I don't think that would be an issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up some of Cade Horton's highlights here in Oklahoma towards the end of the year, because you're right. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And it really was when he developed that slider. I think it was the conference tournament is when he started using that slider a whole lot more, and that's when we saw him take off. And he earned himself millions of dollars in signing bonus money by doing that.
Yeah, he really did. For anybody who's saying like, "Oh, I want a pitcher this draft," and you even had jerks like me saying like, "This really isn't a great draft to want a pitcher up top." Horton might be your answer there. I mean, granted, Kumar went 3 as well, and so the Rangers certainly feel bullish on that. Mm-hmm. But Horton is just one of those guys that, I mean, you can see the potential for an ace, and that is not easy to find. Like, I've seen a lot of Cooper Jerpy. I've got a lot of respect for Cooper Jerpy. He's kind of widely considered to be the best college arm in the class, although, people certainly feel very good on Horton. Jerpy isn't going to be a high velo guy necessarily. Now, he can win without that, but it's definitely more of, the total package. Horton, you don't need to squint and see it. It's that was Tim Elko, the guy that's getting crap about the mustache. I mean, oh well, I guess. But yeah, that's it. Horton's a fun profile. I will be very interested to see if that ends up happening. Do we have the official pick from the Nats?
No, they're in commercial.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm sure when they come back from commercial, it will. I know that real quick, Zumak, you've been on Connor Prelip a little bit, and I know that as we're talking about pitchers, not a whole lot of pitcher talk, but we talked about Kumar, we talked about Cade Horton. Now Connor Prelip is kind of the other guy that could potentially see from the Cubs. I mean, outside chance.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's been some chatter there. He is an intriguing one because, yes, like, his stuff has looked solid. The big question is, how do teams feel about certain pitch shapes? And his fastball shape, I've heard, and I don't have all of the proprietary data, but I just get glimpses of different things, is not like the most ideal fit fastball shape. So what you want is something that has a ton of ride in the zone, so high induced vertical break, a lot of backspin, something that when you throw it, it gives the illusion of going up. It physically can't, but it gives the illusion of it. Very difficult to hit. For anybody who follows the Cubs minor league system, which hopefully you do if you're following us, Daniel Palencia, high upper 90s velo, touching 100, sometimes even a little bit over, looks like it's moving upwards in the zone. That has a lot of ride. It's got a lot of induced vertical break. Horton doesn't, Prelip doesn't have, Horton does have that. Prelip doesn't really have that. Some of that is correctable. And so it depends on like how bullish of an organization you are to whether you feel like you can adjust that. The Cubs also have been taking pitchers they've been taking pitchers with less than optimal shape, but there might be some internal thoughts on actually that shape works really well for certain things. Stephen and I will hopefully have a piece out there on that here pretty soon. The draft kind of got in the way. Prelip, I'm going to keep getting them confused, has a lot of fun qualities to him. I think he's an interesting guy.
So we should be getting this pick real quick here from the Nats. And then we got a good question from Brett Johnson. I'm going to pull up on the screen as soon as the pick comes in because I think as we're getting extra close to the Cubs pick, it's important to talk about the other side of things and maybe the negatives on who we don't want to see there. So we'll give it just a second. I don't know if any of you guys – are you guys watching the actual broadcast? Is it coming in here?
I have it on, but they're still in they're doing like a Hall of Fame thing.
I just figure there's more commercials. MLB's got to get that money. So
yeah.
What off topic real quick. What do you guys think about the draft being here in All-Star break this year?
I like it. Go ahead, Todd.
Some scouts that I've talked to the past couple of weeks are not a fan of going
Elijah Green.
They went Elijah Green at 5. Well,
there you go.
Elijah Green. So much for Juan Soto. Juan Soto to the Cubs confirmed. So they just don't. Most of them are divided into pro scouts and amateur scouts, but the pro scouts don't like the fact that they only have just a couple of weeks basically to go scout players that their teams are interested in.
Yeah. Because,
some of them do cross-checking. Some of them do a little bit on the amateur side, but most of them are assigned to a certain, most organizations assign them like, okay, you follow the NL Central and you travel all over the country doing all levels. You're just all this league, every team in the league. So they're not fans of having to try and get everything ready in just 2 weeks for the trade deadline.
I can hear that for sure. That makes sense. So I want to talk about before we talked about Brooks Lee being now still on the board, 2 picks away from the Cubs. Cam Collier is still there. We got this question from Brett asking who would we be disappointed to see the Cubs draft. I know that overall the sentiment has been that there's not much disappointment. I mean, unless they go way, way, way off track, it'd be hard to disappoint. But is there anyone that you guys are less high on, especially considering Lee and Collier are still on the board here after pick number 5?
I would be not liking if they went like Barry or Susak.
Yeah.
I think those would be 2 guys I'd be extremely disappointed seeing the Cubs take. I think they can do better.
And I'll kick it to you real quick, Zuback, to respond to that. But it's one of those things where Jacob Berry is so heavily reliant on the bat to be really, really good. So I'm kind of curious on your perspective of more up the middle talent versus potential corner guy. But I guess we're talking with Cam Collier is a third baseman.
Yeah, he is. So, I mean, I think Barry's probably the guy that I'd be like, this is a very good major league player. It's just not where I wanted them to go at 7. That's like my gist on Jacob Berry. He's awesome. He has if you talk to people around LSU, they think the world of him. Like they would walk into fire for Jacob Berry because he would walk into fire for them. He has unbelievable work ethic. It is just, and so when you talk about like makeup and the Cubs, like I see it. Like I could see that. I just would prefer they go a different route. But that doesn't mean he wouldn't be like a slamming player. Daniel Susak, the only thing with that is it's just how internally you view his catching defense, because he's probably the best. If you think it's solid, he is the best catcher likely in the class. And so I can't fault that necessarily. I don't think I'd love it. I think I would sit there and go like, okay, hopefully that's an underslot. But I think I could talk myself into it. Barry, I don't know. I would prefer they go a different route. Though I have a lot of respect for Barry as a person and as a bat.
So who do you see the Cubs getting now that 1 through 5 is there? I mean, is it going to be Lee or Collier or?
I mean, you have Lee, Collier, and Prada, right?
Yeah,
Still on
all
the
three,
board. So like you can get any one of them. Or one of them if you want.
Just
Man,
draft all of them. Screw it.
That's honestly more teams need to just decide to break the rules completely and draft everyone.
Who says no? Not
yeah,
me.
market inefficiency there. Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. Like with those 3 really good players still on the board, regardless of if someone's taken here by the Marlins at 6, I mean, you're gonna have a tough decision between the 2 other guys if it's those 3.
Yeah. So I guess so breaking down a few thoughts that'll likely all be proven wrong here in a couple minutes. Collier's kind of on his own island. Like if you like him and you like what the model says, and he's a great makeup kid, and like he's kind of his own island. But if you're talking about comparing Parada, let's say even Neto again, because he's still being talked about pretty high, and Lee, all of those guys, I could squint and see a path for like maybe the Cubs would still prefer Neto as the guy who you feel is going to play shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
Parada is a big time bat. I don't want to shortchange it. He's maybe more of an outfielder. I don't know. Maybe you kind of run him out of catcher and just let him prove you wrong on that. But it's a big bat. And Lee, I know there's a lot of
just went
respect for Lee.
Jacob Berry.
It was Barry at 6.
Yeah, so we have
Collier.
we have basically
Man.
everyone that you guys talked about before is on the board
Oh,
for the show.
Lee, Collier, Neto.
All right, guys. Todd, who you want?
Collier.
Are
you sure? I wasn't sure how you felt about
Yeah.
that.
Post is ready to go. All I have to do is hit publish when the pick is in. Sorry.
Go
didn't
for
mean to
it.
yell.
Which means we're not taking them, right?
Nah.
Yeah. Well, I think I have a baseball card ready this year for the first time since 2017. I think I got it right this year. So
Oh man. Yeah.
last year I didn't have Ed Howard made. I didn't have a card made for Nico. I didn't have a card made for Jensen. So, and I didn't have a card made for Wicks because I didn't think he would be there. So,
Yeah.
So we know Todd wants Cam Collier. I'll kick it to you, Zumac. Who do you think gets taken? Not necessarily who you want, but who do you think gets taken here?
well, that's a good
Yeah, that's really hard. You know what? I've talked to Cam Collier for 6 months. I'll just go with Cam. I don't think I need to second guess it or anything. I know they love Neto. I mean, and I know this isn't what you were asking, but like I wouldn't pass. And I really like both of those. Like that, I do. I really like both of them. I've been annoying on Twitter. I'm sure about how much I've been talking about like Zach Neto and Cam Collier, but that's the route I would go. There's a lot of respect for not Barry. There is a lot of respect for Barry. There's a lot of respect for Lee in the organization, but yeah, I think it would be between those two. I personally, I'd go Cam, and I could see that being the Cubs pick, which it now almost surely won't be. But
Yeah, you guys both predicted Cam Collier, or both
Yeah.
want Cam Collier, so there's no way
Yeah.
this is happening, right?
totally, yeah. They're
All
going
right,
to draft Kumar Rocker
Jimmy, from your like fans' perspective, is that who you want as well?
Yeah, I think the system's like just from a fan perspective, the system's still really young. If we go ahead and get
Wow.
like a prep bat and we have all those
You have
guys
the
kind
pick in?
of coming
It's
up
not.
together,
It's not.
It's going to be Collier.
It is
No.
not?
I'm pretty sure it's not.
You are aware of who this is,
But
but you're not. We're not going to say yet. Is what you're saying?
I think it's a pitcher, and now I'm just.
Is it a pitcher we've mentioned before?
It is.
Okay.
Connor Prelip?
I'm hearing. Is it Horton? I don't know. Is anybody else hearing that? I'm just sorry. My phone just like.
My tracker's not going. Your texts are going apparently, but
Yeah, I think it might be. Holy cow!
and Prospects Live was hinting at that in their very latest mock.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. I mean, you never know with these things because, like, sometimes until the pick is in, like, there are still conversations behind the scenes. But
But going with
that's at least what that was the message a couple times. Wow. I mean, we talked about frontline pitcher, and he is, and you don't need to squint and see an arm that like could be leading the front. I mean, you want to talk about like a Cy Young caliber guy. That's it, and potentially somebody who you could take a little bit of a discount for too. If I had to pick between the two of them, him and Prelip, I honestly lean Horton. Just trying to check on some of this, obviously, because I don't know. That's at least what
I guess before we get way too deep into this,
Yeah.
we'll make sure that that's actually going to be the
Totally.
pick here.
Todd, do you have a Horton card made and ready to go as well as an article?
I can't swear right now. This is a family show.
Todd doesn't have the card made. I don't have any graphics made for Cade Horton. No video. I have one video I was showing earlier. That's the only video I had pulled up for Cade Horton. So we'll make that work if that's the case.
Yeah, other people are hearing Horton too. So I don't know, but I mean that's what the beep 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 was. So I guess we'll see.
You've got the connections there, Zumac. So
connections could just be screwing with me. That's always fun too, right? Like it's no real loss there.
Well, we got the most people that we've had on the show right now and watching, and they're getting ready to already seeing our reaction and going to see a crazier reaction once it becomes official here.
Yeah,
we'll just wait to see if Horton is Cade Horton is the name here.
Okay,
I don't
Cubs
see
select Cade Horton, number 7 overall.
Yeah,
if they would have had the North Side Bound pulled up on their screen there, they would have taken Cam Collier.
Yeah.
So, gut reaction, where does Horton slot in then in your prospect rankings right now?
Jimmy's just choosing violence.
Insert Guardians of the Galaxy meme. Right?
Wow, guys. Oh my God.
So definite top 10 guy. He is. I mean, I have a ton of respect for that. And it's a difficult group to break a top 10 in, right? Like this is you look at like their top 11. That's kind of what some people are saying, like it's 11. I'd bristle a little bit at not adding a top 100 pick or top 100 prospect. I think they did potentially.
But not right now.
Maybe
like on draft day. Okay.
Well, no, yeah, Jimmy. I think you're right. So I think maybe by the end of the season, they may be talking about that. I mean, we are talking about like a special arm, but yeah, is top 10 guy maybe like 7th or 8th for me. Yeah, I know there's a lot of shock here, and I know that people are going to be upset, but
I mean, he has the pitches. I mean, just watching him, like, I think it's the right here. I mean, if you look at that slider, not there. I think it's the next one. I mean, but you have a fastball there at 97. You talked about, kind of the perceived rise to it. And I mean, he has that slider, not that one, maybe the next one. But I mean, we've seen the changeup already. We've seen the high 90s fastball. And then he has, like you said, that plus slider. That
there's a slider there. There's a slider. And I mean, so I guess two things. We got a lot of people very angry in the comments. I think part of that anger is probably because we haven't really, like, Cade Horton is not a name that we've heard in the top half of the first round the entire year long, like we've heard Brooks Lee, like we've heard Cam Collier, like we've heard Kevin Parada, right? But I don't know. It's one of those things where just because it threw us off, when we saw Jordan Wicks threw us off. Like last year, when we watched Jordan Wicks get his name called, we were absolutely shocked to see that. And it's paid off really, really well so far as he's been a prospect. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on
That
the
slider right there. I mean,
the
you see
Dan
that,
Kantrovitz decision here? I don't know.
Well, I think this has to be taken in concert with who they pick in the second round
Yeah.
as well. There are some bigger arms that I think there are going to be bigger arms available in round 2. So let's say they have, 5.7 or 5 million at this slot. He comes in at 4.
Probably 4.3.
Yeah.
That's like the 75%.
Yeah. So that
Or,
saves them a million and a half that they can tack on to late first round money at 47 and get an Ian Ritchie or a Walter Ford or even Henry Bolt. So
yeah.
this
is an upside play. And so, yeah, hey, I hear you.
He's not
like,
a bad player. Yeah.
No. Like, if you wanted a college bat, obviously this is not that, right? Although he used to hit. Actually, he was a two-way player in high school. But they're probably picking him to be a pitcher. And he's a damn good one. Yeah. And so, like, if you're looking at it and saying what moves a rebuild forward, a bat definitely helps, right? And the Cubs have kind of loaded up on a lot of those. What they've been building now is this pitching infrastructure. What definitely accelerates a rebuilding is a frontline guy. Like, not like this guy's probably like a 3 or 4, like really solid pitcher, like a frontline guy, like a top 20, top 10 pitcher in baseball type of thing. Horton has that ceiling. And
Can I ask something as, again, a guy not knowing Cade Horton all that well? I know Cade Cavalli was a guy that the Cubs were looking pretty hard at pretty recently, right? I know we've got here with Cade Horton, another Oklahoma guy. How do you see his body, his pitch repertoire compared to a guy like Cade Cavalli, who was drafted and then immediately shot up prospect list?
Yeah, different body type. Cade Cavalli's like a big hulking guy. Yeah, he's an absolute unit. And Horton's a little bit of a different profile there. But what we've seen in baseball is not a reliance on these guys that have to be like 6'5", 6'6". That it's great if you can get it, but and I've got like the Ken Rosenthal physique body comp going on here, so everything above like 5'9" is a blur, but that's all right for you people. But like, baseball doesn't need people to be like 6'4", 6'5", and you want to be able to use it. Horton uses what he has really well. He's not like a short guy by any means, but he's got absolute like lightning bolts that he's throwing. So it's really exciting.
You were talking earlier about the fastball, like the right on his fastball, and we're seeing it in some of these videos here.
I have a question really quick. But first we should do the giveaway or ask the people the giveaway question now that the Cubs have picked.
Yeah, that's a good call. You want me to go ahead and read out the question that we got for you guys?
Go for it.
All right. So we didn't want to be out here tricking you guys. So we got a question here. Like I said, we'll ask the question. You guys comment in the YouTube chat. First person to send in your answer on the YouTube chat will get that Myrtle Beach Pelicans sick button-down shirt. I'll ask the question, and then we'll probably get into some more talk about Cade Horton to a certain degree, and then we'll kind of acknowledge who won that giveaway here in a little bit. But the question that we have for you guys is, what prospect currently leads the Cubs system in strikeouts from a pitcher? So I'll repeat it. What current Cubs prospect is the leader in the system in strikeouts? Not hitter. We're talking pitchers. So go ahead and put those answers in the chat, and we will figure out who the winner is from the first person who answers.
But my question for you, Zumac, is so you think Horton has the potential then to be probably the best pitcher in the Cubs system then? Like, is he going to be a guy that, I mean, at least projects ahead of like a Hers and a Wicks right now?
Yeah, and no disrespect to anybody, because we're seeing now what Jordan Wicks is doing, and a huge DJ fan. Like, that is an absolute bulldog on the mound who joins a lot of the others that they've been accumulating. Yeah, I mean, Horton has absolute frontline stuff. There's not a ton that I think they need to do there. What is kind of interesting, though, is that, with these pitchers, it's not even just like what they are now, it's what you can add to them. And if you're taking Horton here, you've got an appreciation for what he has, but then you're still thinking like, but we can do this and this. And that's really, really exciting. So yeah, I think he's got frontline potential. I'm actually really intrigued to dive in to see now because I did not really think this was going to happen. So now I have to like sit there and actually go through and try to think about and ask people around about like what would you do to like augment his stuff to take it from like here to here. This is a spinal tap situation. You want to turn it to 11, and he's got the potential to do that.
And right now, too, I mean, I think a lot of fans and, just everyone has a lot of faith just kind of in the Cubs pitching infrastructure, just the way that we've seen guys be developed. I mean, in the minors, like we've seen with like Hers and like Wicks recently, and even things like Jensen, the way that we've changed kind of his arm action, the way Cole Franklin's bounced back this year. And I mean, even guys at the major league level as well. I mean, we've seen like Justin Steele, we've seen Keegan Thompson. So I think now's the time, too, where we have kind of a lot of faith in the Cubs pitching infrastructure, kind of from the ground up. And I mean, like just thinking about the pick now, I mean, that has to be, or you have to feel confident that, the Cubs can make something of Horton too, or like that they see like, this is a guy with frontline stuff, and you have to feel more confident that the Cubs can kind of get that out of him, right?
Real quick, I'm going to interrupt. I believe that our stream has potentially been suspended on YouTube. And so if anyone can comment and prove me otherwise, I would really appreciate that because I think we're having some YouTube issues.
It's still going on my end.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that was the case. So
yeah.
Okay. Everybody's good?
Yep.
That was a error on my part. My apologies. We're all good. Okay. Sorry, Jimmy. I didn't mean to interrupt you too much, but that was kind of an important thing there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it looks like they lost us, but
said it was gone, but now it's back.
Okay. Cool.
Well, you missed all the juicy details. Did people hear our question? Because I'm guessing no, they didn't.
Yeah. Did you guys hear our question? Gone for a couple minutes.
Nope, probably not.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and re-ask our question. We're down to 35 people on the stream. We were way above that before. But now that you're back, if you guys are joining us, we can you guys are one of the lucky few that can join in on the answer here. So we're starting to get some people back. The question is coming. I'm going to see if we can get some more people back joining our show here. Once we get a few more, I'll probably ask the question. So just stick around if you're joining us now.
Goes to the Twins at 8. So Collier is actually still on the board right now to Kansas City at 9, which I'm sure they're probably pretty excited about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think Kansas City's in a great position. They could actually do a lot with this here. So at this point, they need to kind of just I'm just talking as if I'm going to run an organization, of course. But like what I would do here is throw it out there. Like you've got numbers because Kansas City could do a lot of different things. They just traded the 35th pick overall away, and that's $2.2 million in slot money. And so now they can throw things out there to basically like you've got Gavin Cross that's still there. You've got Zach Neto. You've got Cam Collier. Like you've got a lot of options. And so you can basically, I would group several of those guys in a similar position. I would have Cam highest, but I think you can then pick where you want to go there. Kansas City's in a very enviable position. I'd linked him to Drew Gilbert a little bit earlier in the week. And with where the board is, I'm not sure that that's necessarily where they would go, but that actually fits really well too. And so, they've definitely got some real solid options there. Colorado could do a lot. Colorado could have bought somebody down. So when we talk about like what happened up above and everybody's like pissed or whatever, if you're pissed about the Cubs pick, it's very possible that there were players that the Cubs offered deals to and were told we have an offer at 10 or we have an offer at 14, 11 or 14 with the Mets. So just let's see how the draft goes. But like, if you're really mad that they didn't pick one of those guys, it is very possible that the answer they were told is no. And it's not because the Cubs were cheap, but it's because these other teams have more money that they can offer. So I just Just we'll throw that out there.
And we'll get into a little bit more Cade Horton talk here, considering the fact that we were gone for a few minutes. Want to dive back into Cade Horton before getting onto the second round pick in a little bit here. But we're starting to get a little bit more people back. We will go ahead and I'll re-ask this question. The question that we are asking for our giveaway contest. We don't want to trick you guys. We don't want to make it way too difficult. The question is, what prospect currently leads the Cubs system in strikeouts from a pitcher? So the system leader in strikeouts. We're not talking hitting strikeouts. We're talking pitching strikeouts. Who is ranked number one in the entire system as far as strikeouts go this season? So go ahead and put those comments in the chat, and the first person to give the correct answer will get that free giveaway shirt.
Gavin Cross at 9. So Collier still on the board.
So
maybe we can get Collier in a trade at the deadline here from the Mets if he's agreed to.
I can't do that, but
well, we can do it down the road. It'd be like
totally.
JFK Khrushchev will agree to trade you Wilson, and 6 months from now, you agree to send us Cam Collier as a player to be named later.
There you go. That's right.
So
and you've
more like the vanilla missile crisis.
What I'm hoping.
So I do want to get back into some Cade talk. I know that you kind of hinted at it there, Zumac, a little bit. But, I mean, it's one of those things where, as far as Cade Horton goes, I think that a lot of the uproar, I mean, I just made the mistake of checking Cubs Twitter. Don't do that if you're interviewing you guys. Don't do that. But I think a lot of the anger comes just from surprise, right? I mean, because this is such a surprising name to go at 7. But we know that the way that MLB Draft is set up, it is not. I think Brian Smith posted a tweet about this earlier. It is not a ranking of the best prospects in the draft. That is not how the MLB Draft works. With the NBA and the NFL, it's the best prospects are coming off the board 1, 2, 3 in a row. That is not the way the MLB Draft works. And I know we're very, very surprised to see Cade Horton go to the Cubs at number 7 overall. But I don't know. You want to speak to that? Either of you two guys, you want to speak to that a little bit in terms of like what this means for the system? And it is not necessarily this is the worst thing in the entire world. That is not the case.
Oh no,
he's a very good pitcher. I mean, it's just you have these not generational talents, but extremely young talents that if they get to the majors in 4 years, say for a high school pick, they'll still be 21, 22 years old, and you'll have them for the prime of their careers. Here you're getting, I think Horton's, is he 20, 21?
Yeah, he's on the younger end.
Yeah, he's on the younger end of college pitchers. But you're still getting a guy who's going to reinforce a top of the rotation arm, which is something the Cubs haven't truly developed yet. Even if you like Wicks and Hers, they are probably more middle of the rotation type of guys. So Horton would be, as far in terms of velocity, he would be kind of a notch above that. Not as high as Palencia, and still pretty close to where Cole Franklin could be if Cole completely comes back, which it looks like he's in a groove right now this month. So that's kind of where I would put him. And as far as like the depth that he adds, I still think these first 2 picks are tied together. I really do. And if they get Ford or Bolt or Richie, I think Cub fans are going to be excited with one of those 3 guys because all 3 of them, even Tucker Tolman, 4, would all be first-round talents. So basically, Horton, they would get 2 first-round talents for the price of a first and a second. And
love that, Brett. Love that.
Yeah.
I'll make one more point here before that was a good transition, Todd, over to some second round talk. But I'll ruin that transition. My apologies. I'll point out that we talked about it right after he was drafted. I think it was before he was drafted here. But I invite you all to go take a look at the stats that Cade Horton put up from right around the conference tournament or so on throughout the rest of this season. Because looking at his season-long numbers, you're not going to be wowed. It's nothing insane, but that's something to take a look at. I think we might be potentially down again here, boys. So here's what we'll it says that the stream is suspended again. I don't know what the deal is here. That's not great. Stream gone.
Man, what is up with this? I probably can't say anything.
I think I think it is a Cade Horton video. I think you're playing it and we're getting like copyrighted.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I will stop playing the Cade Horton video. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying
Well,
to
that's
give
too bad.
people what they want. It is still down apparently. I'm getting live updates here texted to my phone, and so we're gonna, as soon as we come back, we can talk about. I don't know if we're still recording, so I don't know if when this gets if this stays on YouTube, if this is gonna be there. I kind of doubt it.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
well, so Horton is what did in the channel.
Yep.
That's bad karma.
Someone said that mustache must have been copyrighted, so that is awesome. I think Brett Johnson was our winner of the competition. He commented first, so we'll need to be sure we track down.
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
I've never heard of Brett before tonight. So.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Zumac, do you have time tonight to do a profile, or you want me to go ahead? And I can do
Horton, it. Yeah, if you could do it, that's great. I'm gonna try to dig in on pick 47 though. I'll try to push a little bit.
All right.
So I am going to comment back to Brett here.
We're back up.
Are we back up?
We're back up.
We're back.
Yep.
All right, guys. So apologies to everybody out there, and thank you for sticking around. I think that whoever commented, I think they're right. I think it's the fact that we're playing that Cade Horton video, and it's like some copyright issues. So that is not what we intended to happen. Apologies to everybody. I will say before we potentially get lost again, Brett Johnson, you were the winner of the giveaway. Shout out to Brett. We appreciate you tuning in. If you could potentially reach out to any of us on social media, on Twitter, our handles are all right there. If you can DM any of us, and we will be sure that you get. Actually, probably go ahead and DM Greg Zumac.
Yeah,
go ahead and DM Greg Zumac, and then we'll be sure to get you your shirt because we appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick.
Great comments today, by the way, Brett.
Yeah, great comments from Brett, but everybody was awesome. So. Real quick, real fast. We talked about Cade Horton quite a bit. I don't know how much you guys out there actually heard. Hopefully it was a lot because we like talking about it. I do want to say one last thing. Let's get a little bit into the second round. I know Todd hinted at a little bit. We're not going to be sticking around. We're getting ready to wrap this up pretty soon. What direction do you see the Cubs going in the second round here at pick number 47 later tonight?
A few names, Todd's mentioned them, but guys that I would definitely be really paying attention to is Henry Bolt, outfielder, Palo Alto. Big time, like for anybody who loves Elijah Green, kind of the same profile. Obviously, nobody's Elijah Green, but it's that power speed. The question is like contact, but if you want to maybe take a stab there, this kind of lessens your risk than taking that stab at, they couldn't have even taken Elijah anyway. But Bolt's really good. Wow, I'm losing my voice now with this. I've been Hortoned. But Henry Bolt's really, really good. And that one would really fit there. I also want to mention the Vanilla Missile himself, who should bump up draft rankings strictly for this name, but also he's really, really, really good. And that is Walter Ford, who's a right-handed pitcher out of Pace. It's down in Florida. One of the youngest players in the class, so actually right along with the youngest pitcher, and he's 17 as well. So right along with Cam Collier, reclassified, and he boasts some really impressive stuff. It needs some ironing out, but we're talking again like a frontline type profile if it all comes together. So you're not talking about you're like, hey, you squinted and like, maybe this guy's like a third starter in the major leagues. Like Ford's got some pretty frontline stuff. We've talked about Noah Schultz, who I love a ton. Maybe this money with Horton gives you the money to do that. Schultz is awesome. So And then one other name that I've had tossed around to me a couple times. I don't know how legit this is, but Mikey Romero, probably a guy that's off the board in the top 50 picks. I've heard that a few times. He's a shortstop, one of the contact heroes of the high school class. And yeah, I know the Cubs have a bunch of shortstops. You can never have too many though. Like Mikey's awesome. There's really no question that he's going to be a shortstop, probably a very good one. Makes a lot of contact, and what scouts have been seeing in him fairly recently is he's starting to have a little bit more juice to the ball, starting to hit the ball with more authority, and that's what you want to see instead of just being like a slasher. So like those are a few names that I think that we should be paying attention to as we watch this chaotic, very fun, very exciting MLB draft.
Todd, I want to kick it over to you. As I'm doing that, I do want to mention that Kevin Parada fell all the way down to number 11 with the Mets, and we still have not seen Cam Collier go off the board. So I don't know if there's some signability concern. I kind of figured that Cam Collier going to the Mets made a little bit of sense with the money that they
go at 14, though. They could have gotten Parada and Collier, two guys that are top 5 guys with those bonuses. That might have been what it is. So, like, if everyone's mad about passing on them, which I totally get, it might have been the Mets waving around crazy amounts of money that the Cubs just can't top.
Yep, exactly. Todd, I know Zumac mentioned a few names that you liked as well. What are your thoughts about the Cubs in the second round?
Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and get somebody over slot. This seems to be their modus operandi the past couple years, is to go with an over slot somewhere. And 2 seems the best slot for some of the top young prep players like Henry Bolt, Rocker. I'm not Rocker, but Ford. And then who's the other one? Oh, Schultz. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, go J.R. Ritchie at that spot. We really haven't talked about him a lot. Tucker Tolman's a guy who's been seen in the late first round. And he's a pretty stocky kid from South Carolina, Billy Swope's region. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cubs have some sort of prearranged deal with someone there. So we'll see who they get. And it'll either make that first pick look good or raise some more eyebrows.
Yeah, and I'm honestly hoping that there's going to be some overslots at 47 and 86. I think it could be a lot of fun. Certainly.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably wrap things up here, unless there's anything you guys want to sneak in.
Nope, I'll be covering rounds 3 through 8 live tomorrow, starting at 1 Central. You'll just need to update the page as each pick comes in. I'll do that both Monday and Tuesday. In fact, I think that's how Greg Huss and I met. Was I used to tag him with the picks throughout the day back 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Yeah, so be sure to check out Todd's work over at northsidebound.com. The next couple of days, like he said, throughout the afternoon, I'll probably be keeping track of what's going on. And then Zumac, you got anything else?
No, we've got some minor league pieces that are going to be popping off here pretty soon, which I'm really excited about. Diving in on some guys that really needed some due diligence there. So after the draft is done, I'll be following along with Todd in these next few days. You'll be seeing a lot from me probably tomorrow, mostly on Twitter as we go along here, and maybe a little bit throughout the night tonight as well. So I know it's going to be fun. Everybody take a deep breath on Cade Horton. But I think the Cubs got a fun play at 7, and it'll really depend on the rest of the class. So let's watch it out.
I did check, and he is still 20. So that's still fairly young.
I think it's August 20th or something is his birthday. I don't know why.
That's the nerdiest thing I've ever heard.
I was looking at it earlier. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it.
Jimmy, I'll kick it to you. Anything you want to say before we wrap up?
We have a great question that everyone hates answering here from Steve Kermath. Do you guys have a quick comp for Cade Horton that you guys want to answer right now?
David Cone. I don't know if anybody remembers David Cone, but that's who he reminds me of. He's got that little bulldog mentality. Arm slot's pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't have a good one.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll need to think about it, but maybe I'll come back with one later in tonight.
I'm thinking a mix of Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer is what I'm thinking,
Yeah, like a
and some Clayton
4.
Kershaw thrown in there, but just as a
Right.
righty, and yeah.
Mhm.
I'm thinking a modern Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, there
I
you
think
go.
we're seeing another 5,000 strikeout career.
All right. Well, I will. On that note, I'll put it into the show. Thank you guys all for tuning in through all the chaos, through all the craziness as the show's gone up and down. But thank you guys for commenting and being involved and all that good stuff. I can't thank you enough. And Todd and Zumak, appreciate you bringing your expertise to me and Jimmy as co-hosts.
This is
Thank
a
you.
blast, guys. Happy
Yeah.
drafting.
Thank you guys.
Take care, everybody.